Hi, welcome to Cooking with Mama Bear. I'm your host, Mama Bear, and today we're going to make something called Streusel Muffins. Um, Before we begin, you should ask your parent or guardian, can you cook first? In the kitchen. And once they say yes, then you can cook in the kitchen. So first, let's start by washing our hands. Okay, let's get started to start cooking. So first what I'm going to do is take my damp, and that's like slightly wet towel. I'm going to stick it under my bowl so it doesn't move or shift around on me, even though this bowl has a silicone ring, but I'm still going to do that for best practices. So first we're going to start with our wet bowl. We're going to need 2 eggs. So I'm going to take my egg and I let it sit in like some slightly warm water just to bring it up to room temperature, and that'll make your baked goods like muffins be more fluffier. So I am going to crack this on the side of my bowl. I'm going to put it in my trash can. So no shells with that one. Uh-oh. Good job. Yes. Okay, no shells. I'm just going to wipe my fingers. Next, we will need a cup of milk. So here's my liquid measuring cup. I'm going to put it on the table. I'm going to pour up to the 1 cup line. And then I am going to check at eye level to see, do I have enough milk? Yes. Okay, so I will put my milk in. I'm also going to need just a little bit more milk. So I'm going to need 2 tablespoons. So I'm going to measure over my liquid measuring cup just in case I have a spill. Okay, so here's 1, 2. Okay, the milk part is done. Next, you're going to need some butter and or shortening. So this is a butter stick. I cut a piece of it off. So you count on the lines, and on the wrapper it should say 1/3 of a cup. So what I did, and it's like 5 1/3 of a tablespoon of butter. So I counted over 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and I cut it off. And then I also added something called shortening. So this company makes these cute little sticks, and you can just count over on the lines. And so I grabbed about 2 more tablespoons to get to my 5 tablespoons worth. So I melted all together in the microwave for like 30 seconds. If it's super hot, you want to wait before you add it to your egg, or you're going to have scrambled eggs in your muffin, which is not good. I'm going to take my whisk, which I forgot to mention, we need one of these. I'm going to slowly pour this into my wet bowl, and I'm going to whisk this. The reason why I add butter and shortening together is the butter gives it a rich and buttery flavor, and the shortening keeps it soft after it's done cooling all the way. So it's a nice win-win situation. Okay, this is nice and light yellow. The last thing I want to add to my liquid bowl or liquid ingredients is some flavoring. So you need 2 teaspoons of flavoring. So I'm going to do 1 teaspoon of vanilla and 1 teaspoon, it's called almond flavoring or almond extract. So you don't have to do that. You can use all vanilla or all almond or lemon or whatever flavor you would like. But I'm just doing these 2 because I want to be special. Okay, now you'll also notice when you look at your wet ingredients that sometimes your butter starts to get cool from the milk and the egg and starts to kind of make these little tiny balls of butter, and that's totally fine. It'll melt in the oven. Okay, that bowl's done, so I'm going to set that to the side. So we're all done with our liquid stuff. Now we're going to do our dry stuff. I'm going to use a separate bowl just to sift the flour. So I'm going to put it on my damp towel. I need 2 cups of flour. So I'm going to use this thing called a sifter, and it helps the muffins be fluffier and lighter, more like cake, a little less harder crumb or a stiffer crumb than a muffin. So I've got my scoop today, so I need 2 cups of flour. So I'm just going to scoop it into the cup. Then I'm going to take my butter knife, and I will take the flat side of the knife, and I'm just going to push off the extra, and there's 1. I need 1 more. Okay, so I got a heaping amount, more than what I need, and I'm just gonna again level this off. Make sure I get enough. Okay, here's 2. Okay, next I will need white sugar, and that's white granulated sugar, regular table sugar. I'm gonna scoop up more than what I need. Either I can take a knife and I can push it off, or I can simply just shake the white sugar and it levels off itself because it's so granular. So I'm gonna pour my sugar in on top of my flour. There's a few lumps in there, but we'll get those out. Next, we will need 3/4 of a teaspoon of salt. I'm gonna take my trash can and I'm gonna measure over this, because if you get too much salt in there, you cannot get it out. So here's, see, can you hear all that salt shaking out? 1, and I'm sprinkling around. 2, 1 more. 3. And then lastly, I will need baking powder. Make sure it says baking powder, not baking soda. Normally baking powder comes in a can and baking soda comes in a box, normally. You're gonna need 2 3/4. So there's a built-on ledge here. So I'm gonna get more than what I need. See that? Ooh, this is full. And I'm gonna drag it across the top so it's flat. And then I'm gonna sprinkle this around. And this helps the muffins to puff up and rise and get nice and fluffy. Okay, here's my second one. And then I need also 3/4 of a teaspoon. So I'm going to use the 1/4 teaspoon 3 times and do the exact same thing. So 1, 2, 3. Okay, I think we're ready. So now all I'm going to do is hold this out of the way. Hold the sifter, and some sifters has a crank on the side and it cranks it through, but this one doesn't. So I'm just going to shake this, and this helps get my ingredients to mix together more evenly. Okay, I can hear there's some little beads in here called sugar, so I'm just going to gently mash those through. Okay, it's almost gone, so I'm going to put the extra in the trash. Now I'm going to do it just one more time in my real measuring bowl. So I'm going to sift this one more time, and again this will help make sure everything is mixed together well. Of course this is going to make a mess. Yes, okay, done. So now the professional way to do this is you take a spoon, which I didn't show you on the equipment little picture, but that's okay. You can just take a regular mixing spoon. You're gonna make a well, and that's like an indention or a hole in the center of your dry ingredients. Okay, I don't know, can you guys see that? I made a hole in there, or well. You're gonna pour in all your wet ingredients in the center of your well. I'm just stirring this up a little bit more, beating it. And then, so you're gonna pour, it's gonna overflow. And you might think, what difference does making a well make? Well, the professional way is that you stir until just combined. So I'm going to go around the sides and stir, and around the sides again, and then I'm going to make sure I got the bottom. So you don't want to stir this until it's smooth, because you're going to develop too much gluten in the flour and they're going to be kind of tough. So it's supposed to be kind of lumpy. I should have counted like how many strokes or how many times I'm stirring. I'm guessing, I don't know, 15. Did I do about 15? Okay, I'm almost there. I see just a little bit more white powder. So I'm just combining this a few more times. Done. And as tempting as it is, keep on stirring it. I'm going to leave that alone. So I'm going to wipe up my little area that I made a mess on, and we're going to put these in the little muffin, there we go, in the muffin tin. Okay, so I have some muffin tins. They're right here. Unfortunately I only have the kind that holds 6, not the 12, so I bought these things called silicone muffin liners. I have never ever used these. They claim you don't have to spray these things or anything, and they'll work, so we're going to see. So I got 3 in the front and 3 in the back, And then it makes about 12 muffins. So because I told you I don't have that other set for 12, I had to use a tiny little cookie pan and put some more silicone muffin liners on here. I have 2 extra, so we'll see, do I even need to use anymore? So we've got 3 and 3, so let's see. Hopefully these will not flop and make a mess in the oven. So I am going to take my, I'm just going to scrape off this batter, and I'm going to gently pour. I'm going to fill up about 2/3 of the way. So it's a little bit more than half. And I'm just using my knife to help guide me. So I'm going to fill it up only about 2/3 of the way. That's about right. Okay. Okay. Well, there we go. Okay, now for the next step. Okay, I'm back. I'm ready for the next step. So we're going to first start with our brown sugar. I need a 1/3 cup. And with brown sugar, you are not going to level it off like standard other dry ingredients. You're going to take your heel of your hand or the palm of your hand, or you can use the side of a container, and you're going to press gently down with a clean hand. Press gently down into the cup. Okay, that looks good. And then I just want to show you guys what it looks like. Gently tap, and it looks like a little sandcastle. Yes. Okay, then next you will need 2 tablespoons of flour. So I have my tablespoon here. I'm just going to simply scoop in here. I've got a heaping amount, that's more than what I need. I'm going to take the back side of the sharp knife because I'm going to use this in a moment to level this off. So I have 1, 2. Next, we're going to need a 1/2 teaspoon of cinnamon. So I'm just going to sprinkle that around. My last thing I'll need is 2 tablespoons of butter. So my butter is soft, and I'm just going to count on the lines of the stick of butter and count over 1, 2. And then I'm going to cut on the line. And I'm sawing back and forth because it's so soft, and I'm going to cut through the paper. So I'm just going to stick my little cube of butter in, which is 2 tablespoons. I'm going to put that in my trash. Now I'm just going to take a fork and I'm just going to mash it all together. So first you can kind of stir it around, but eventually you have to mash in that butter to get it all well combined. It should look like little crumbles when this is all done. Okay, so this is the streusel or the topping, so it's nice and sugary and sweet and a little bit crumbly. I'm going to put this on top of each muffin, and then it'll be ready to go into the oven. I already have the oven preheated to 350, and they will bake for just a little bit of time. Let me check my recipe. 17 to 20 minutes. So we're going to check it at the 15-minute mark to make sure we're not burning them. Okay, this looks actually pretty good. So what I'm going to do is take my fork, and I am going to, or you can take your fingers, and I'm going to crumble it on top of each one. But we're going to time lapse this. Okay, so I ran out of a little topping, so I had to make just a tiny bit more just to cover the last 2. So I'll change it around on the recipe that will be in the link below. So they're ready to go. I'm going to put them in the oven, and I misquoted, and the oven temperature is really 400 degrees. We're going to check it at the 15-minute mark, then at like 17 minutes and 20 minutes. It kind of depends on your stove or your oven and how hot it gets. I also took a wet paper towel and I just rubbed the top to make sure that delicious sugary goodness doesn't stay on top of the pan, and then it like melts and it's hard to get off. So I'll come back in a few minutes and you can see what they look like. Okay, I'm taking them out the oven. So here's the one tray. And here is the second tray. So you'll notice they're golden brown on the top. Let me show you guys. Let me just tilt it. Some of that delicious like streusel topping, it kind of puffed, when the muffins puffed up, it kind of spilled off a little bit, so I did get some on my tray, but that's okay. We're gonna get that. So I would just like to thank you so much for joining me for another cooking lesson with Mama Bear. Don't forget, stay and look while you cook. Bye.